You are totally worth it. You are worth the time and energy it takes to make sure that your brain energy is diversified so that you're reducing the risk of having a total crash out. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Love Your Brain podcast, or welcome if you're new. Now, if you missed last week's episode, I would definitely recommend going and checking it out. It's all about how to avoid being stressed out over the holidays. So, if you are in the midst of it right now, definitely go check it out. We need to be enjoying this season, not stressed out by it. So, check that one out. But for this week, we are going to be talking about diversification of our brain investments. Now, have you ever heard someone say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, or make sure to diversify your investments? Well, today we are going to talk about why these sayings ring true even when it comes to our own brains. But before we go into how this applies to our brains, let's first break down what these sayings mean in general terms, just in case you're someone who hears these phrases and just rolls your eyes because you're like, I don't really know what they're talking about. When people tell you to diversify your investments, the idea here is that you have your money in a variety of different investments. Maybe they're stocks, maybe they're bonds, maybe they're just high yield savings account. Basically, it's spreading your money out to reduce the risk. And the way that it does that is by having your money in different places. If something happens to one place, so say for example, some stocks went down, your other investments won't be affected. So that's less risky, right? Because just one is affected, it's not affecting all of your money, just that one area. So the idea here is if you spread them out, if you spread your investments over multiple different arenas, then likely you're not going to lose everything with one bad hit. Typically, it's only going to affect one area of your investments. The same idea happens when they're talking about not having all your eggs in one basket. It's a similar idea because if all of your eggs are in one basket and something happens to that one basket, then all of your eggs are impacted. But if you had eggs in different baskets, then if something happens to one basket, you still have some eggs safe in other baskets. The more I say eggs in baskets, the weirder this analogy is sounding. But you get the gist. Basically, spread out your investments, put your eggs in multiple different baskets so that it reduces the risk. So that if something happens to one of those baskets, it doesn't mean that everything just falls apart. You don't lose everything at one time. So, with that, if you transfer that information over, it really applies to just about anything. You can minimize risk if everything is spread out in different areas, so that if something happens to one area, not all the areas are impacted at one time. So, how do we do this with our brains and why is that important? Well, let me start by just talking about this concept in terms of when it became important to me. So, when I was raising teenagers, it was hard. And not even because I was raising difficult teenagers, because they were not. They were incredible humans. But just because Teenagerville is inherently hard. It's hard on kids, it's hard on parents. It's just rough. If you've ever been around a teen, heck, if you've ever been a teen, then you probably know the struggle. But during this stage, I had moments where I felt like I was just not doing a great job at parenting. Because when your kids are working through those really difficult stages, it's hard to not look at yourself and be like, wait, how do I help them manage this? I don't feel equipped. This is all so difficult. And it was around this time I decided to try to get back into running long distance, because I felt like I needed to feel like I was good at something or making progress in some area because my mothering area at the time felt like I was not performing at my best. So I leaned into running and I ran every day. It was perfect for me at that time because it didn't take a lot of planning, it didn't take a lot of thought. I would just go out every morning and space out, just put one foot in front of the other and pound the pavement. Eventually, during this period, I actually ended up signing up for a really cool race, and it gave me something to look forward to, something to focus on, and it was really exciting. So, if you're following here, What I did during this season of life is that I diversified my brain investment by not just focusing my brain energy on being a good parent, but also on being a good runner. And that's what I'm talking about when I say diversify your brain investments. If I just focused on one thing, just being a good parent, when things started to get difficult, it could lead my brain to think everything was difficult, that everything was falling apart. Because in terms of brain investment, it was all taken up by one thing, and that was parenting. But instead, I diversified by adding a new hobby that helped me have something that I could feel good about, even on the days when I didn't feel like I was the best parent. And I've practiced this concept over and over again since then because it truly has worked so well for me. Having multiple things I'm investing my brain energy in and time into really helps reduce the risk of feeling like everything is falling apart or everything is bad when something gets stressful or like it's not going well. So, adding hobbies, interests, new jobs, whatever the case is, just adding something to diversify your focus can really help. Because there will always be times in life when one area of our life is a disaster. That just happens. But what we want to try and prevent is letting that feeling take over, letting it become a thing where it feels like everything is a disaster, which is how it can feel in the moment when all of our eggs are just in that one basket area of life. But if we have other areas of life that are still going well, where we are still performing well, where things are looking good, then it doesn't have to feel like our whole world is falling apart. I used this method as well when I left my job and took a gap quarter. If you haven't listened to that episode, The Life Changing Power of a Midlife Gap Quarter, definitely go check that one out from this past summer. It's a good one. But when I took my gap quarter from that job, I knew I needed some diversity for my brain because even before I made the leap, I knew that it was going to be a challenge. And that was because I was someone who really defined myself by how I performed in my job. It consumed a lot of my brain energy for a very, very long time. So before I even left my job, I started some new things. One thing that I started was meeting regularly with a personal trainer. Now, I had been working out for a long time, but I knew I wanted to get good at it. I wanted to fine tune my skills, and I knew that would be another way I could invest my brain energy that could help me feel proud or accomplished, even when I no longer had a career to feel proud in. And I see this as something often lacking in not just people who are super invested in their careers, but sometimes even in, say, for example, people who are caregivers or stay at home parents. Sometimes that role can be so consuming. It can often be really your whole life in terms of time frames. It can take your whole entire day and night. You don't have time away unless you make time away. And so when the kids are grown and moving out, or maybe the parent that you cared for is no longer with you, there's often a struggle that comes with that empty feeling, not taking care of that person or those children anymore, because you haven't diversified your brain energy. The parents or caregivers that I see that have the easiest time with this transition are the ones that have already started up with a new hobby, a new sport, a new part time job, something to help them feel like they still have purpose even when their kids or parents aren't around to need them in the same way anymore. This concept often becomes extremely important, even in times of stress, when you would probably not think of it. In those times where it feels like you need to focus everything on that one area of life, when those areas feel all consuming, that's often the time when diversifying your brain energy will actually keep you going. If you've ever had one of those seasons where all of your life feels just consumed by this one thing, you don't feel like you have the time or the energy for anything else. But it might be a time when you actually have to add something to get through it, and simply for the reason of diversifying that brain investment. Because if there is a lot of pressure in that one area, we are also often applying too much meaning to that area. It's very easy to start believing that that one part of our life is everything. And if things are going well, then we're doing well. And if they're not going well, then we're not doing well. Again, if things go awry or if there's an issue, then all of a sudden it's easy for our brains to align meaning to that, in that area of focus, if it falls apart, tends to feel like we are falling apart. And let's be real. You may not feel like you have it in you. I 100% understand that. But it's in those times when you might need to find a way to diversify your energy. It's our tendency when things get challenging or stressful to do less, to cut out things. But what I've found is the opposite is often actually the antidote. Adding something that brings you joy, that you can think about outside of that stressor, can be absolutely the thing to carry you through. Or even when things are going really well in one area. I always caution people, don't get too comfy. When you have such a narrow focus, it will benefit you long term to keep up with some diversity in other areas of your life, even if they're small. For example, maybe you are caring for a sick child or a parent. That alone can feel very consuming, and you might think you need more time to focus on caring for them. But truly, you will be a better caretaker when your brain energy is diversified. So even when it's getting really difficult, you might want to consider engaging in some way with some other community or a hobby or something. Maybe it's even just a monthly book club or joining a gym, anything to diversify your attention, your time, your fulfillment. Even if it's small, it could bring huge dividends for you long term. Diversification with our brain energy is also super important in terms of self worth and self confidence, because without a doubt, there will be times in life where you are just not performing well in a specific area. Like maybe you just started a new job and it all feels challenging at first, right? We've all started a new job and felt like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I know anything. You just don't know what you're doing yet. Well, it's in those times I always say make sure you have something that you're doing that's also something you've done for a while and continue to keep up with it, just so you can remind your brain that there is an area of life that you're actually really good at. The brain wants to see evidence, and if you can just even throw a little bit of evidence its way on a regular basis that you're good at something, even when other parts of your life feel like you are falling short, well, it can help carry you through those difficult times and likely help you to overcome it even faster because we don't realize it. But when it's happening, the brain will see, oh, wait, you are really good at playing pool. So, of course, you'd be good at learning this new job. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you're just learning how to play pickleball and you're really terrible at it. But then you remind yourself, wait, I'm still doing really great at work. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm getting a promotion. That can help you do even better at pickleball or plug and chug, whatever your situation is. So, diversity is key for long term brain investments. Your brain will thank you if you put the effort in to engage in a variety of areas when it comes to your own brain energy. And let's be honest, you may be listening to this and thinking, this is too much. I'm fine. I will manage. Sometimes I feel like crud about myself, but I always get through it. Well, let me tell you, while we are on this topic of investments, what would you say is the single most important investment you can have? I'll wait. Think about it for a moment. It's you. You are literally the greatest investment that you will ever have. You are worth investing 1,000% more than anything else in life. So, of course, it's worth the time and energy to make sure you are caring for your own brain, reducing the risk of really having a hard time mentally. Your own mental health and doing the most so that your brain is cared for well is so important. So don't forget those things. You are totally worth it. You are worth the time and energy it takes to make sure that your brain energy is diversified so that you're reducing the risk of having a total crash out. Now, next up, I wanted to let you know that we are winding down 2025. I know it has flown by. It's absolutely wild. But I am going to be offering something that I have thought about for a very long time and it's finally coming to fruition. And that is a vision board session. We will be doing it in our Love Your Brain online community. So if you are already there, then great. You will see all that information soon. But if you haven't joined yet, it's free to join the group. So just click the link in the show notes, and then you'll be right in the place that you need to be so that you can take part in all the action. Some of the resources that I share in that group will be free and just a bonus for being a part of that community, but there will also be some with paid access so that you can purchase it and really go through those courses. But in addition to all of that, that online community is a great place where you can start connecting with other listeners and you can talk about what's happening in your own journey, ask for advice, or just be inspired by others and their journey. So, again, in the next week or so, you'll likely see in our online community the upcoming information about our vision board session. And I'm really excited about it. I've been asked about my process throughout the years, but really didn't have an easy way to share it with others. And this new community platform totally provides an easy way to do that. So, it's going to have visuals and resources and everything that you need to really put a cool vision board together for your 2026. Or if you're like me, and you want to do it quarterly, you can just repeat the process with what I'm providing in this group. So definitely join in on that. I truly attribute a lot of the progress that I've made in the last few years with the vision boarding process because it has just been incredible. There are a few tools that I really have learned over the years that have totally been a game changer in terms of this process. So definitely jump in on that. And yeah, join us next week for the next episode. All right. Have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.